Yeah, I was not aware I'd be standing in front of all of you, fine ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking up the time and doing this with us on a Sunday, especially. But these are very vital issues. Now, if I may start, the digital revolution has sort of been taking over every form of media, entertainment, advertising, as you name it. And I'm very curious because with every revolution, you look at other revolutions as well. And I'm curious how this has impacted you individually, not just as journalists, but because of this paucity of women representation in media, how it has impacted your particular fields, whether it's independent journalism or national broadcast or digital channels itself. So if I could please start with you, Shoma ma'am, that, because you're an independent media outlet, uh, how is that different? Because you would then be, of course, subject to all these comments coming from online and so on and so forth. Like, what are the challenges and what are the opportunities that we have not seen yet?
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for coming on a Sunday morning like this. I don't think of myself as a particular medium journalist. So the digital medium and technology, I think, provides a huge opportunity and challenge for everybody. It's not about whether you're a woman journalist or, I think journalism altogether has been completely altered, and so has society. And the dual edge of the problem is that it's both democratic, it's democratized voices, it's enabled many more to participate in the creation of a narrative in society, and it's broken old structures. But at the same time, I liked what Rebecca said about the megaphone. The one advantage of traditional media was that the buck stopped with an editor, that you could trace the line of information to somebody. And there were, of course, different motivations for media houses and what they did, and there were power structures, but at least you could identify who was standing there, and there could be some consequence or accountability. So along with this democratization has also come a mobocracy, that you can put a megaphone to anybody's voice, and anybody's opinion can become the fact, and there's much less fact-checking. Things move at the speed of lightning. So I think it's something that everybody in society needs to really engage with. I no longer, I was one of the co-founders of Tehelka. I started Catch News before a lot of the digital outfits that currently exist were there. But I have moved away from traditional media because I find a lot of the structures of what I would call journalism are not plausible anymore in a society altogether, So I do much more live on stage. I think of ourselves now, my company is a thought seeder company. And I'm engaging hugely with technology and science because I think it's the new structures of power today. Even more than electoral politics, technology is the new source of power. And I feel that as a society, we all need to engage with it. We need to understand how it's reshaping us and to discuss how to deploy that technology. So digital media is one part of that. And as I said, and we can deepen that conversation, but my opening thing would be that it's not just a dilemma for journalism. And in that, the agency is that every editor, every media house has to take back control. And that's a conversation happening across the world, that you take back control of technology, you acknowledge human agency. And in that, I would say every media house needs to slow down, This assumption that you have to put out news the moment it happens before you've processed it. I've been, subject to it myself. I see others' lives destroyed by it. This desire not to grade your news, to put it out too fast, to not go through the due process, I think that's not journalism, And I think everybody has to take back control. You don't need to be first, you need to be credible and reliable,
Right. And sorry, if I can just build up on that question, please, because as you mentioned that you did move out of the traditional sort of news environment. So within independent journalism as such, could you tell us what the prospects are over there? Because there could be some commentary that it's sort of a limited space, or that there perhaps isn't as much backing from perhaps other sources. So if you could just sort of elaborate on the journey of independent journalism within.
So, I think a lot of journalists have had to become entrepreneurs. I certainly have had to. And hunting money is always a very, but I look at it as part of my own creative challenge because I want to, and say, for instance, I do live on stage conversations now and platforms like that, but it's very vision driven. And I'm trying to create, as I said, I've created a really big platform now called Synapse, which is about science, technology, and society. Or before that, when I was doing Catch, or I've done other digital series. And I can first speak of myself and then what I see to be happening to other journalists. So, I think in this society, it's just new, this idea that, ideas matter and that every society can only be as robust as how much money is going into creating ideas-based society, And journalism is very much that. Like, what is the mental psyche of a society will determine its politics, will determine its economics, and, but it needs a new kind of opening in those who have money to understand that you have to back stuff like that. But for independent journalists who've always just been at the, creating the content or the narrative, it's very difficult to move into hunting money, because I think like Bansuri was saying, you have to understand the economic structures. Not everybody has that capacity or the personality to do it. So I don't want to make a rosy picture, For speaking for myself, I have carved a whole new life for myself, but it's very vision driven, And in that, there's no other marketing team that can do it. You have to do it yourself. And it is difficult. But I have succeeded because I've been able to communicate a certain idea as being important, For a lot of other independent journalists who are, doing, say, podcasts or, who've tried to do journalism online, I know many of them have tried and not been able to sustain it economically. A lot of collectives have come together. So as I said, I don't want to paint an unnecessarily rosy picture. I would put out to society and to those who have money that it is not a charitable thing. It's not something that you're doing as ehsan. It is the health of a society that you need it to be there, And so my one other point over there would be that something I have learned to do is to also live by a certain value system for yourself. And I know that I won't do anything that I can't sit with, And if you learn to live your life at a level that can be sustainable, then you end up doing something of importance and significance because it gets recognized, And I think a lot of journalists are having to do that, maybe not earn as much as they could in larger structures, but if you want to live with a certain story of yourself, your economic structures then form around that. And I think the more passionate people who succeed, society will start believing in that, So I personally, I'm really grateful that something like a science and tech conference has taken off the way it has. Because, but all I'm saying is that it needs passion, it needs belief, and it needs that, what will I say, like a peace within, that I will live life according to my terms. My point to those who are rich, I will keep saying this again and again, is that that visionary wealth has to come into India, And from proprietors to advertisers to, this is not just a journalist problem, it's a money problem. And it's something I say straight to everybody that I meet for money, and I turn away huge amounts of money. I say my stage is not going to be compromised. And I think the more editors that say our journalism will not be compromised, how many proprietors will you have? How many advertisers will you have? The more journalists who say, main nahi karunga ye. I will not shift from the value system that brought me into a profession, then society will change, And I think that's, if you're talking about fire, we need that fire.
Right. And that was such a lovely point. Thank you so much. In fact, so many lovely points. Vaishali ji, if I may bother you next. NDTV is like the largest English broadcaster within India. It certainly has the most talkative audience, across social media. And of course, then there is NDTV India itself, which has so many different outlooks. Now, could you sort of take me through the challenges that lie therein, because you are so accessible by so many different, demographics or communities? Like, what are the challenges that lie navigating that? When you take out content every day, every hour, almost every minute.
So I'm very lucky to work in an organization that pioneered digital journalism, so to say. I think NDTV was first off the mark when it came to building a really robust website, an app that still sits in many people's real estate, phone real estate, which is precious commodity, and a very, very robust social media handles as well. So the responsibility of what we put out is that much more. And given the audience that we have, the core value of journalism does not change. You have to look at digital as another distribution platform, a more vocal distribution platform, a distribution platform that will tell you real time what you're saying is acceptable or not. But if you remain true to the core thought of what journalism is, all of this is something that you can adapt as you go along. So this is, I've worked in traditional media, I've worked in digital media, and I work in an organization that sort of brings both of them together. And I agree with Shoma, if you stay true to your journalism, it really doesn't matter what platform you're addressing.
Right. And so, but because, like you said, you are across these, this might be a slightly controversial question, but is there one particular medium that is perhaps more troublesome than others when it comes to feedback?
I think troublesome is not the right word. As I said, feedback forum, in a sense, is almost instant in digital, right? I think if you sort of, you look at it in the spirit that it is meant to be given in, you cut out the noise and you actually take the feedback that is generally important, significant feedback for editors to have, then it's a great medium to be in. You know, and I mean, your ability to communicate, your ability to bring real news, your ability not to press the button fastest finger first, but sort of take your time and put the news out that you truly have fact-checked and have gone through all the checks and balances that make journalism, that will define your success in this medium. So yes, feedback is instant. A lot of feedback is very vocal, but if you're able to distill that feedback, you've done your job.
Right. And Hanumaji, on that note, because these two are two more recent mediums, whereas print, of course, has been there for so many years. And given that ABP Live, started off as from print, and of course, it has evolved into this multi-layer thing. I'm curious, what has changed in your perspective in media from its earliest form, which was print, and how it has sort of evolved into now?
Well, thank you for that, and thank you, E4M, for this platform. To come to your question, I've been that traditional journalist who's never followed any kind of platform I'm working for, be it the newspapers I've worked for or the digital. I believe, and what I have done all my life in this 20 years of journalism that I've been, is just, speak the truth, state the facts, and be on the ground as much as possible. And that is the reason why I believe, and since we are speaking on, on women-centric, women empowerment, I think I have had some very good male editors who had believed in me, which is why I think one of my editors, he agreed to send me to Afghanistan in 2021. So I was able to do a true ground reporting at that time when the Western media was making us believe that, oh, there'll be a no Taliban coming and there'll be a no NATO troops withdrawal. So I think as what Rubika also said, that you have to fight for it. You have to fight for what you are passionate about. And journalism is, again, I'm sure all my co-panelists will agree, is not about money. You really don't get any money, so to say, but it's the passion that every morning you'll follow the news, whether it's on TV or newspapers. I think in my apartment, we are the only family who subscribe to 10 newspapers, and I'm very happy about it. And I don't think that traditional, I don't think newspapers are going away. And I still think as digital, we are sort of complementing it in the sense that there's more news, it's the better. Especially in today's world when people only believe in WhatsApp messages and many other things. I don't want to go into that, but I think as journalists, we need to speak truth to power and tell people what is happening. For example, again, because I can only give the kind of work that I do, I can talk about that. I was there in Bangladesh last year after all the turmoil had happened and their PM Sheikh Hasina came into India. I was there in September in front of the residence of Sheikh Mujibur Dhanmondi, which is now demolished. And I was attacked by a mob there saying that, oh, you know, you are there from ABP. That means, you know, and don't think you're a Bengali so you can gel with me, with us. So there's this crowd that sort of attacked me at that time. But then I said, you speak the truth. You speak in front of the camera or the mic. What is it that you want to say? And my channel and I think ABP Live was extremely sort of supportive of me, telling that, okay, we will, you know, run all those videos. They never said we won't. And they had some very difficult things to say about India. And Dhaka, as we all know right now, is full of anti-India protests. But then the fact is that's the truth on the ground. And you need to say that. So I think that's what makes a journalist, not the medium or not the platform that you're speaking from. But I guess, again, I have had some very good supportive editors whom probably I have had difficulties, but then they believed in my work and the power that I sort of convinced them that I'll bring you good reports.
And you know, just one thing that, as you mentioned, because you've had so much experience in geopolitics and you sort of traveled to many different parts of the world where attitudes towards social mores are very different. So from your personal experience, have there been any, not to name countries, but have there been tough areas to navigate or certain things that you could not speak about because of their perceptions of?
No, I mean, see, for a journalist, every story, every news that you follow, which has, and news is sort of, you know, people say it's controversy. It is always difficult. It is always difficult today to ask difficult questions, even to your own ministers. Forget about going abroad and asking others. I mean, how many times do you see our own ministers addressing the media, but they go out and address the media all the time? So, you know, that's the reality you learn to live with. But then again, you have several, in journalism, we have something called sources whom you cultivate over the years and you believe in them, of course, reliable sources. And I think that's what happens. And of course, I think going into difficult areas, in my case, it has been Afghanistan. I think it was somewhere easier for me as a woman, and I was there all alone covering it at that time from my previous organization. And I think it helped me a lot because as a woman, I could enter into, you know, a place like a beauty parlor, which the very first thing the Taliban attacked. And I knew something of that would happen. And what those women there had to say, nobody was talking about them. Everybody was talking about what the Minister of Defense is doing or what President Ghani was doing at that time. But then I got those voices, and I've written about that in my book as well, that what those women were thinking who had done beautician courses, who believed in that American way of life, and they had that belief that somewhere the Americans will not, you know, betray us. But then they are betrayed. And today we know what's happening with Afghan women. So these are difficult. When you see those difficulties, your difficulty is really nothing in front of them.
Right. And Reema ji, of course, I have to come to Doordarshan because it is, you know, the sort of starting point of a lot of journalism in India. And of course, Doordarshan is broadcast across the country. You know, it is language agnostic almost at this point. तो आपको क्या लगता है कि क्योंकि आप इतने सारे TVs को पहुंच रहे हैं, like across India, where, you know, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, as the saying goes, तो वहाँ पे as a journalist, like, and perceptions of women, आपको कैसे लग रहा है कि how has it changed and how is it right now?
दूरदर्शन के बारे में या ओवरऑल सभी के बारे में?
पहले तो दूरदर्शन और फिर of course after overall.
थैंक यू। 25 साल प्राइवेट चैनल्स में रहने के बाद अभी 3 साल से दूरदर्शन में मैं हूँ। जो आपका सवाल है वो थोड़ा सा मैं इस ढंग से लूँगी कि दूरदर्शन को लेकर बहुत सारी बातें होती हैं और प्राइवेट चैनल्स में मुझे इतनी गालियाँ कभी नहीं पड़ी थी जितनी दूरदर्शन के 3 साल में पड़ चुकी। और वो इस वजह से क्योंकि जैसे रुबिका ने बताया, जब मैं आज तक में थी या दूसरे चैनल्स में थी, तो जो हम रिपोर्टिंग करते थे या एंकरिंग करते थे उस टाइम पर चैनल को लेकर बात नहीं होती, इंडिविजुअल को लेकर बात होती है कि रीमा पराशर या रुबिका लियाकत इन्होंने ये किया, जो रुबिका भी बता रही थी कि सोशल मीडिया पर आपको जो भी बातें बोलनी पड़ती हैं वो आपके पर्सनल लेवल पर। लेकिन दूरदर्शन को क्योंकि पब्लिक ब्रॉडकास्टर है और उसकी वजह से एक अलग तरीके का चैलेंज आ गया है कि आप कुछ भी अगर उस पर लिखोगे सोशल मीडिया पर, या आपकी जो रिपोर्टिंग है, या आप जो शो कर रहे हो, जैसे मेरा इवनिंग शो आता है, उसमें आप पर अटैक कम होते हैं, पूरे चैनल पर ज़्यादा होते हैं कि अरे दूरदर्शन दूरदर्शन भी ये दिखा रहा है, ये कैसे हो सकता है, दूरदर्शन में भी इस तरह का कंपटीशन स्टार्ट हो गया है। तो ये जो पूरा मतलब रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, मुझे लगता है जब मैंने ज्वाइन किया था तब ऐसा नहीं लग रहा था। तब लोग तो मुझे ये कह रहे थे कि अरे तुम कहाँ चली गई, रिटायरमेंट के बाद वाली जॉब है ये, तो तुमने क्यों ज्वाइन कर लिया। लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि इतना चैलेंज मुझे कभी 25 साल में प्राइवेट चैनल्स में नहीं हुआ जैसा यहाँ देखने को मिल रहा है। इनफैक्ट कश्मीर से कन्याकुमारी आपने बात कही, सब जगह रिपोर्टिंग कर रही हूँ मैं, सब जगह शोज़ कर रही हूँ, और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऐसा लग रहा है यहाँ पर बहुत बड़ी है काम करने की, एज अ जर्नलिस्ट भी और एज एन एंकर भी, क्योंकि आपको एक पूरे चैनल को बताना पड़ता है कि हाँ पब्लिक ब्रॉडकास्टर है, तो अब वो चेंज हुआ है, अब वो अपना परसेप्शन लेकर चल रहा है, अब वो सिर्फ एक जो कहते थे ना अब तक की सरकार का भोपू, यहाँ पर अब हम सभी पार्टियों को बुलाकर बात भी कर रहे हैं, उनकी बात सुन भी रहे हैं, डिबेट भी करवा रहे हैं प्राइवेट चैनल्स की तरह। तो वो सारी चीज़ें हैं, लेकिन हाँ जाहिर तौर पर बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज हो जाता है, क्योंकि एज अ फीमेल जर्नलिस्ट अभी भी माइंडसेट न्यूज़ रूम का तो चेंज हो गया है, और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि 28 साल में तो खैर ज़मीन आसमान का फ़र्क आ चुका है। जब ज्वाइन किया था तो बिल्कुल सही बात, अभी मुझसे पहले मैंने देखा कि कोई स्पीकर थी, उन्होंने बताया, बांसुरी स्वराज ने, कि जब हम आए थे तो अगर फीमेल रिपोर्टर है तो इसके पास क्या बीट होनी चाहिए, अच्छा आप NCW कवर कर लो, विमेन एंड चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट इनके नाम पर होनी चाहिए, उसी तरह से देखा जाता था। लेकिन आज की डेट में तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि ऐसा, अगर कोई फीमेल न्यूज़ एंकर हैं या फिर कि अगर कोई रिपोर्टर नई हैं अपकमिंग, उनको सीधे इसी नज़र से देखा जाता है। ये सब तो बहुत चेंज हो चुका है, लेकिन हाँ लोगों का जो परसेप्शन है और थिंकिंग है वो अभी भी वही है कि अगर मैं अपने शो की कोई क्लिपिंग डाल रही हूँ, उस पर मुझे बातें सुनने को मिल रही हैं, तो 50% लोग आपके लुक्स पर बात करेंगे, 50% लोग अभी भी यही बात करेंगे, ओ मैम आपका तो, आपने तो बिल्कुल अपना स्टाइल चेंज कर लिया है, आपका हेयर स्टाइल ऐसा लग रहा है। अभी भी वो परसेप्शन जो है वो व्यूवर्स का पता नहीं चेंज नहीं हो पाता है। लेकिन हाँ बहुत सारी चीज़ें चेंज हो गई हैं, और मुझे लगता है वो चैलेंज फील्ड में भी बहुत ज़्यादा देखने को मिलता है। मैं अभी जो बेसिक चीज़ें हैं उन पर बात नहीं करूँगी कि एज अ फीमेल जर्नलिस्ट आप रैली कवर करने जाते हो तो मेल जर्नलिस्ट और फीमेल दोनों में कितना ज़्यादा अंतर होता है, कि आपको बहुत चैलेंजेस एक रैली में पब्लिक के बीच में जाने पर कवरेज के लिए आप अवॉइड करना चाहते हो, और ख़ासकर अगर आप हरियाणा, यूपी इन सब जगहों पे हो, बिहार में अब इलेक्शन भी है, तो वो सब चीज़ें तो एक है, मतलब उसका वो मुझे लगता है बहुत ही अंतर होगा चेंज करना, कि एक बेसिक नीड्स जो हैं वो फीमेल्स की अलग हैं और मेल्स की अलग हैं, तो वो तो आपको डे टू डे लाइफ में किसी भी फील्ड में आप जाओ तो आपको झेलनी पड़ती है। लेकिन हाँ जो सोशल मीडिया का एक जो बज़ चल रहा है उसको अगर आप कोप अप कर लो तो मुझे लगता है कि आप और आगे निकल सकते हो।
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. So we have a wealth of experience here, and I'm sure you're all going to be bothering them after this as well to sort of pick their brains on many different topics. But because the time is up, do we have time for? Oh, okay. So we will just follow the thing. I will ask them to bother you after this. But thank you so, so much for this, because this was a.
I just wanted to
Yes,
say
yes.
one very quick thing. Sorry, I just wanted to say one quick thing, which was that you asked about digital media, and I think while you're dependent on every individual fierce woman speaking over here, but I would again put out this urge for journalism altogether. That on digital media you get this very granular idea of how a story is doing. Is it doing well? Is it not doing well? On television you have TRP. Is it doing well? Is it not doing well? And I think we would be wrong not to acknowledge that journalism is getting very defined by the economics of whether a story is doing well or not. And you get the same news. We have more than 800 media outlets and more. You get the same news, the same headlines, the same story almost on every platform. Because media platforms are chasing each other, they're chasing TRPs, and they're chasing this granular ki ye kahani acha hua ki nahi. And very often the stories that don't do well will not get done later. And I would just say that it has to be a nice jugalbandi. Of course, people need to know whether the story is doing well, but you still need editors and proprietors that will back stories that don't do well but need to be done. And that's why you have an editor, and that's why you're a news journalism outfit,
Right.
So I would just like to put that down there
Yeah.
because I know individual journalists must be facing a lot of that. What they would like to do as a journalist and what the newsroom allows them to do is a very different matter.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'd really like to
Yeah,
acknowledge
no, thank you so much.